Oh, I'm sorry. I passed away during the countdown.
Hey, it was half the time.
Okay.
Hey, it's story time.
It's story time. I'm sorry, Drew. You're gonna have to just hold on for a second, and just you're gonna have to. I swear that you'll think it's worth it. So
It's a good job you're cutting a lot of the time out of the show with this story, because like I had
yeah.
fuck all to say anyway.
Well, exactly. Well, what can I say? You know what? This is why I said don't worry about it, because we can just ramble on about nothing.
We'll save the intros for the end. You know,
ask TJ. I can do a show by myself without anything running. I mean, you don't even have to tape me. I would be sitting here just telling stories into this empty office. You know. This saves me from having to be considered absolutely crazy and being taken away in a straitjacket. So
fair enough.
Just saying. So
okay.
33 years ago, I'm on a set. I used to do this thing when when I would be on the set like early in the morning, and we were doing a film called Mr. Christmas Dinner, and so I was doing effects, and the thing is it's always this thing where you get your most work done when nobody is around. And so I had this tendency to like be on the set at like 4 a.m, 3 a.m. I'd either come in early.
So you're like a superhero that's can only use a superpower when nobody's watching.
Right. Could you close your eyes? Could you turn away? Could you put a cloth over your head? Could you comb your beard across your eyes or something? Right. Exactly. That was me. Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I would take breaks at these times, at these weird times. I would take breaks from what I was doing, and I would play a saxophone on the set. And I had an old Busher 400, which is that old 40s, 50s heavy sax sound, not the bright, rock and roll sax, but the heavy. You've heard that before, right? Anyway, yeah. So I had one of those saxes, and I would play, and I'm playing it on the stage at like 4:30 in the morning, just before I'd finished my work. I was about ready to go home, and one of the catering assistants, the guy that was just working catering, comes over to me, and he was maybe 10 years older than I was. His black guy, thin, 10 years older, and we get to talking, and I was playing this song called "Ain't Misbehaving" on the stage. Okay, ain't misbehaving all by myself. Okay, anyway, that song. So I'm blasting that out across the stage, and the thing that's great is that empty stages just have this great sound to them, right? It's just like all echo all the time. And so I play the sax, and he walks over, and I'm talking to him, and he goes, "Yeah, I played sax." He goes, "You mind if I try?" And we traded spit right there. And he took the sax, and he started to play, and he was only about 1,000 times better than I was. Right? It was like embarrassing that he had to hand it back to me, because it really is a great horn, right? And all of a sudden, here was a great player with this great horn, and together, they were making beautiful music, and it was like just watching somebody screw your wife right there in front of you. So anyway, so he hands it back to me, and
what the fuck? What an analogy, Mick! Holy shit! That came out of nowhere.
Sorry about that. I apologize to everybody involved.
Oh, well, on that note, keep going, Mick. Keep going.
Let me keep going. So he hands the sax back, and we got to talking, and he had like a Selmer Mark VI, which is like at that time was maybe a $2,000 horn, which nowadays would have sold for about $30,000. That had just been stolen out of his car. Well, or out of his apartment, because he didn't even have he wasn't doing really well financially, and so he said, "Yeah, I had these gigs that I was going to play, but I'm not going to be able to make it to that." And we parted ways, but before he left, I managed to get the horn to him. And I think I actually handed it to somebody else and said, look, you know what? Give this to him, and he can use that horn for as long as he wants.
In the
right?
animation, you come down as Fat Jesus, and you have a horn,
Exactly.
and then you just give it to him. You know, and
right? Exactly. So I give him the horn, and I swear, about 10 years later, he gets a hold of me, and he says, "Yeah, I want to get back to you, but I'm heading back out of town," and that was all I heard, right? And I didn't think about it. And I really didn't think about it again until about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I get a message. I get a Facebook message that says, "Are you the Mixtron that was working on a stage on a film called Mr. Christmas Dinner back in the 80s at some point? And if it is, I've got something of yours." And I just wrote back and I said, and by this time I hadn't completely forgotten the horn. I thought about it every once in a while, but I had completely forgotten him, what his name was and stuff. And his name, of course, I kept saying to myself, I know his name is something. It's the same as somebody that's pretty close to me, and his name was Reggie, which is the name of my deceased brother. So I should have remembered that when I get this message from a guy, Reggie, that says, are you the guy? And I just wrote back before he could write the second message. I wrote back and said, "Do you have a tenor sax of mine?" And he writes back, he goes, "Yeah." And so this is the guy. Now, the thing is I've had him write me now since the history of him and the sax because you have to figure in your mind the image that this evokes is that he was a Pullman on a train that rode between Seattle and Chicago for 15 years.
Oh boy.
And he had that horn. And he says, I used to take that horn and play in the clubs down there over the weekends and whenever I had a couple of days off. And he gave me a great list of all the people that he'd played with and everything. And so just before we went on the air here, I just pulled the package off of my front porch that is the horn. And laid it on the sofa just so it's down there waiting for me. It's you know how everybody has those opening ceremonies on Facebook. It seems to be a thing. When somebody sends them a claw.
Are you going to do that?
I doubt it. I mean, I don't know if I want anybody there with a camera going over it because I don't care that much about it. But I do have that opening. I get to go down and open it.
True that.
I haven't seen the sax in 33 years. So, and he and I have become friends since, and have talked back and forth, and it's just kind of a interesting thing, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So we're gonna take that story.
Hey, Drew, how are you?
Hi, Drew, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
You got a story to beat that?
Mick's obviously horny, but
it's all okay. So I've got the tenor,
Yes.
So the tenor is not the really big one, but it's not the really small one either.
Yeah,
just right.
That's right. That's right. That got it. Okay, so how you been, Drew?
Not too bad.
Drew's actually never been on RabbitHole.
You've never been on RabbitHole?
No, not that I can
Really?
think of.
Well, it's a hell of an experience.
He's
isn't it?
published his fair share of rabbit holes in his day.
Yes, you have. You.
Hey, what I do on a Saturday's my own business.
Yeah. So you had a really great, you had a really great what would you call it? Radio show?
Well, I had a radio show. Yeah, I wouldn't call it great, but I had a fairly decent online radio station for a while. I think we were 18 months, something like that. Run we had.
Yeah, well, that's great. I wanted to thank you for introducing us to like probably seven or eight people in the Glasgow area.
Yeah.
So now anytime so now anytime I go to Glasgow, I can be ignored by people that know me.
I'm sure it's helped us chart in Europe.
Oh
We
yeah,
have. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's been a couple of people who've said that their shows definitely saw a bump over this side once they were on the station for a while.
Yeah.
A couple had the opposite reaction.
You know,
which is always good, I suppose. Destroy someone's legacy is just as good, isn't it?
You know, that's
a service in and of itself, I guess.
That's not the messenger, that's the message. So I was going to point out that there was a guy that got a hold of me that I had not heard of since I worked also, in town. On Freddy's Nightmares. His name was Roger Enixon. And he wound up on your music, on the music part, on the music part of your show. And he goes, and I noticed, he said, and I noticed that you were there. And he said, the funny thing about it is, he says, I wouldn't have known about that radio show if it wasn't for having seen your name on one of your podcasts and me getting a hold of him. I was like, well, there you go. It's an interconnected world,
Very much so. Yeah. There's definitely, there's people that have had their music played on the station. They're now part of the soundtrack to a couple of the different audio dramas I've done off the back of it. So yeah, it's very intertwined.
So I recorded for you in a audio drama that's going to be released pretty soon. It's like February, right?
Yep, February. Orchid Grove Asylum, which is pretty much a sequel to a show I did called Orchid Grove, which obviously that's hence Orchid Grove's in both titles. Gotcha. I'm not smart enough to come up with anything else. The original show has been on about 54, 55, something like that, radio stations worldwide. It's had, I think the last time I checked, something like 6 million listens.
Really?
So yeah.
So that was
I'm hoping for big things for this one.
That was the first one, right?
Yeah.
So now when you say radio shows, I get confused sometimes because a lot of people now that talk about radio show are actually talking about podcasts, but you're talking about radio shows, right?
Yeah, we were on different stations all over the place. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
strangely, we were on 2 different stations in Israel.
That's really cool.
Which is weird because how do they understand any of the accents for a start? I was a character in it.
Well, wait a minute. But my voice is in there, and they shouldn't understand that for sure. Because nobody understands me. That this is the problem, is nobody understands me. But so I gotta tell you, TJ, I die in this. I got to die on radio.
Ooh.
Oh yes, I hate to say how many times I've died on review pages for movies before, but this is the first time I'm going to die on radio.
I've seen you snort coke off of a bar once.
Yeah, but that didn't kill me.
The COVID that you got like a week later didn't either.
Yeah, no. Well, almost. That was very funny. That particular scene, everybody was going, well, what kind of what do we need to bring? I said, I don't think you need to bring anything. I'll fake it like an actor.
Yeah, the show's got an interesting cast. There's people that are IMDb credited. There's people that are podcasters. There's me. I literally do.
Dave.
Yes, Dave. Yeah, Dave's really good in the show. I think I do something like 17 voices on it, which is a lot because I can only do this voice. So it's like a lot of time to make it sound different.
So there's 17 people that sound just like you in the show.
Yeah. We have conversations just like in my head.
Right.
Oh boy.
So I'm glad that it's all coming together. So you can be all
really well.
So you do sound effects and everything for it and put it all together and
yeah, I do all the Foley and all that. Yeah.
Now your day job is you actually did work for the BBC, right?
I'll well, in a roundabout way, almost. At the moment, I had a script. Well, Orchid Grove went through almost to production at the BBC, and then they had a little bit of a change in their drama department. So about 12 years maybe ago, that was almost a mini series at the BBC.
Oh, okay.
Would have been fun, but it would probably have had people from crappy shows like EastEnders or something in it. I wouldn't have had class people like Mick, obviously. So
Glassing it up now.
Yeah. Well,
wait. Probably be a lot less swearing in it as well, which
well, just the fact that you reached out showed a certain amount of desperation. Come on.
Oh boy.
Wait. So you played 17 characters and then you called me.
I just didn't have that 18th voice.
That 18th voice just wasn't in you, right?
It wasn't in me, no.
Was that character supposed to be an American?
I think at one point, because we've had a 2-year gap between season 1 and season 2, so that character would have been cast at one point. I can't remember who it was, but it was someone who'd been on TV.
Oh, so that was a recurring. Good. So I got to kill off a recurring cast member.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's joy. That's joy. Well, that worked. That worked out for one of us, I guess.
Yeah, he kind of got, I guess you would call it, cancelled for his behaviour towards women, so he couldn't be on the show anymore.
That seems to be the number one way for guys to get out of the business quick these days.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, there you go.
You deactivate your Twitter profile and you become asexual. Fix it.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Wonder if that'll work for Trump.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't matter how far south he goes. He can't run.
What is Trump is going back now, and all of his neighbors, you can tell that they hate him because they already have a petition up for him as he gets there that you can't be here. You know what? We're Florida. We don't want you. That's pretty bad.
He was supposed to be coming over here to play golf for the inauguration, but the Scottish First Minister said he couldn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Pompeo was supposed to. The thing is, Pompeo didn't want to be in town for the end of for the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? And so he planned this huge worldwide trip, and everybody turned him down. Liechtenstein said, no, the rooms, we don't have a room. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you, but we're all booked up, Yeah,
he would have doubled the population if he'd went there.
Yes, it's probably.
It's like one guy in a dog, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God. So what else are you working on in your life now?
At the moment, not much. I'm just doing this audio drama. Then not that it will be spoilers to anyone who knows me well, but there'll be Orchid Grove's finale will come after it, and then I'll be moving on to my next series. And I'm still doing some script stuff on the side. I started a kind of consultancy thing that I'm trying to build up to help people with their scripts to try and get them to the next level.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, so I've had one client so far.
Well,
yes.
yeah, I volunteered to help people with their scripts. You know, if the next level is that they want to just throw them away.
Well, yeah, there is sometimes people ask you to look at stuff, and the only helpful advice you can give them is to save it for toilet paper.
Yes.
There seems to be a lack of Yakuza and chimpanzees in your script. Move on.
I got to page 57 and you've not dropped the C-bomb once yet. What's going on?
I was working on a film called what the hell was it called? Ring of the Musketeers, right? And the way that I got that job, I got that job because like there had been a purge halfway through the show. This is with David Hasselhoff. So halfway through that show, we started to work on another show that was called Grey Knights, and it was a Civil War zombie film.
What the fuck?
Another one, you know.
I forgot to mention Cheech Marin. In the,
Cheech Marin. Cheech Marin was really cool. I love Cheech Marin. I mean, I love hanging out with him. I've been with him.
The cast. Hasselhoff and Cheech.
Oh yeah, and Cheech Marin. Cheech Marin is really a cool guy. So the next film that we were supposed to do, because all of a sudden I became part of the family, right? And so we go and we sit in this meeting, right? And this is a world a Civil War zombie film. But not that. No, not that Civil War zombie film. This is the other Civil War zombie film.
Yeah, you got to specify.
Yeah, you got to specify. So we're in the middle of like just a really preliminary meeting, and this producer, his name was Brad Cravoy. He comes in late. He's one of those guys. He comes in late, and he was kind of known to be kind of like a huge prick, and so he comes in late. He sits for like 30 seconds. And then in the middle of everything, he just stands up and he says, I'll tell you, here's the problem with this script. I'm going to tell you the problem with this script. And I don't know how you guys are going to fix it, but I really want it fixed. There's just not enough tits in this script. And then he packed up his bag and he split. And literally everybody's like, what? What was that all about? He was the executive producer. So, you know, you couldn't just immediately laugh, you know, because it's funny enough that we have zombies.
Can we talk about the cast of this fucking
film?
Oh,
it's amazing.
Oh my God.
Ghost Brigade. And it is
Martin Sheen, Billy Bob Thornton, David Arquette, Alexis Arquette, Matt LeBlanc, Josh Evans, Oliver Muirheads. Like, what is this?
Right.
What is this film?
It is a terrible film too. It's just terrible. I mean, who was it? Armand Assante?
Directed by George Hickenlooper, produced by Steven Stabler and Brad Cravoy, written by Matt Greenberg.
Yes. And by the way, if Cravoy had really wanted tits in this thing, he wrote it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, it's.
Did you say Martin Sheen was in this?
Yes.
Yes.
What, was he in to pay for like Charlie's Rehab or something?
93.
It couldn't have paid much, I tell you that. Yeah, if you really want to see a real low down stinker of a film, you know, I do remember that that I got a review in the LA Times on this film that I had created a masterpiece out of whole cloth, which I had no idea what that meant, but I've always remembered those words. I created a masterpiece out of whole cloth.
Hey, we got a question. Who's Michael Vasquez?
Michael Vasquez?
Yep.
Who are you asking? Me?
You, Mick.
I have no idea.
So, one of our listeners was watching Texas Chainsaw 3
right,
and noticed that you were not credited in a Michael Vasquez on this version was credited.
Well,
He wanted to know if one of your pseudonyms was Michael Bass.
no, that would be a no. And
Okay, so you want to explain how that happened?
I can't explain.
3 years of production that could explain it.
I have to tell you something though. Is we look at IMDb as being the
Wikipedia of
the Wikipedia, but it does have something in common with Wikipedia. It is edited by idiots.
yes.
Because you see, the thing is especially stuff that was in the 90s and the 80s.
So what did you do on Texas Chainsaw 3? What was your role?
Oh, I was the production designer.
Okay, that's what you're listed on IMDb. I'm just interested to know why the fuck the movie says Michael Vasquez.
Yeah, but on the posters, I know that on the posters for the movie it says Mick Strawn.
Really?
Yeah,
this is interesting.
Well, but wait, I'm on the front credits of it. As a matter of fact, I mean, I don't. There could be a misspelled or version on the credits at the end of the film, because
it was a different, like a European release.
Yeah, it might have literally be somebody that retimed the film or something like that, and they got a credit. Never can tell.
Interesting.
On the IMDb, it's just someone's put themselves in as having a credit.
You know what I'm not used to is I'm not used to the fact that IMDb. I mean, our credits back in the 80s were hardly accurate. I mean, oh my God, it was a lot of times it was kind of a political game anyway. And literally you could get, I did, I'll give you an example of this. I did the art direction, the West Coast art direction for, Sid and Nancy. I built the interior of the Chelsea Hotel and all the rest of that. But, and the thing is, the production designers started in England. And they were friends of mine. Then they filmed in New York, and then so by the time they got to LA, it had to be done, right? And that was me. I mean, I was the one that put all that together. That Chelsea Hotel was actually filmed on a stage in LA. But as there was all kinds of complications at the very end of the film, because, like, for one thing, the director held the negative. He went and he stole the sound because he didn't like the way that one of the shots was in the end, and there was this huge negotiation. Everything had to sit open on the stage for a couple of days, and because of that, most everybody had gone back to Britain when they finally got it all figured out, right? And the set was already gone, and there was a guy, literally, I left a guy, like a member of like a crew that I brought on at the very end, and he swept up the stage, right? And somebody came in and asked him who was in the art department, and he said every name that he could think of. And they wrote him down as the construction coordinator. They didn't even bring me up. and that was the whole show. And that's the way it is in IMDb. I'm not even credited on the film, so which is really funny because, and the thing is it's not like we would even know that all that much back then, because all you did then was you packed up and you went on to the next show. Your chances of even having seen, I mean, I saw it at the cast and crew, but I wasn't exactly looking for my name, and I had places to go, and I probably didn't even stay all the way for the credits at the end.
Yeah. So you are on the back of the box whenever you look at the releases.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm interested if it differs for releases for like the cut, the uncut, and depending on the region.
There's all kinds of, they redesign the boxes for every region,
Yeah,
so
that's interesting.
You never tell.
Sometimes with the cast, there'll be an actor that's maybe not A-list in America, but it's A-list in Europe. Their name goes first on the poster.
Oh, well,
Uh,
it's funny that you should bring that up because if you talk about the negotiations for the posters, those are really interesting. If you ever
ooh.
have you ever noticed this? Sometime notice the names above the photographs in a poster. You know, I mean, one of the standard poster
Mhm.
setups is like four guys standing in a row looking straight ahead, right? That's one negotiation.
Mhm.
Now, the names above their heads, that's another negotiation. And they are not off. In fact, often they are not the same, and one will be played off of the other. Well, I
Yeah.
can get the photo, I could be all the way to the right on the photo, but I'm going to get the last name. And so you find that all the time as you find the names are out of sync with the faces underneath it. And now that you know that, you're going to be looking and going, oh shit, he's right.
Yeah, I've had a couple of scripts optioned, and they've made it to screen with like small independent companies. My name's not on them. It's my
Yeah.
script. It's the fucking guy that optioned it whose name's on it.
Oh yeah, see that?
Didn't do any writing on it whatsoever.
Literally, the guy that said the blurb that said, "Oh, you know, it's a vampire that's got his penis cut in half,"
Yeah.
right? And that's all he will have contributed to it.
We could sell that movie to Netflix right now.
It's what?
We could sell that movie to Netflix right now.
Yes, we could. Well, it's funny you should say that. There used to be a magazine, an actual magazine in the 80s called Ben E is Dead. That Ben E is Dead, right?
Yeah.
This magazine, Ben E's Dead, was into mutilation, and you know there would be and the thing is they would have like really weird political articles. And then they would have 4 or 5 pictures of like some kind of bizarre mutilation thing, like people hanging from the middle of a warehouse just by 2 fish hooks in their tits, right?
Yeah.
Just really strange stuff like that. And and that image of a penis cut in all the way in half, all the way down the shaft, right?
Ooh.
It was from that book. Right, you know, people. That's a fetish, right? I have, as far as I have never seen a picture of a copy of Benny's Dead online, but I've seen the name before. The magazine was pretty fucking amazing. Pretty fun. Yeah, you know, it would have like somebody's like poetry from Bukowski,
Yeah.
you know, in it, and then a few pages later, for some reason, there was this whole thing about poets, the last of the beat era poets, and bizarre styles of porn smashed together, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like this podcast.
Yeah, that's probably a fair description. Yeah.
What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I think it's a nice, perfect blend of poetry and porn.
Poetry and porn.
There we go.
Well, your last 2 episodes, you've had a couple of tits on. You've had me and Dave, so
Yeah, it's true. It's true. but no, don't worry. We're gonna have some good episodes pretty soon.
yeah, we're just.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Oh, I've heard that before.
We're trying to get Cronenberg cinematographer on for an interview, but he's on set right now. Mark Irwin.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mark Irwin. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hey, listen. By the way, if you have anybody, really interesting that you could throw our way as a guest, we're going through a period here of just readjustment,
Mhm.
and I'm too happy these days to actually look at a guest because Trump is gone. I can't even keep my attention. I got to tell you, the last 2-3 days, I have been so overjoyed You have no idea what it was like to be the day of his inauguration. You know, it was just like, it's just like America took a deep breath.
Yeah, it was actually it's been it's going to sound horrible, but it's been a relief since he's out of office to look at the fucking news on your phone or something.
It has. I mean, I'm not
every headline he was in.
I'm not getting, and I don't mean to get political, and you can see how TJ is getting, you know, like
zoning out.
He's zoning out. Okay, but I'll tell you something, Mr. Zoning Out. I'm trying to point.
You keep going, buddy. You keep going.
Oh, stop it! No. Have you noticed that the news has calmed down? That all of a sudden you're not getting anywhere near as many articles about, you know, angry articles. It's just everything has gone. And so anyway, all I'm saying is I am relaxing now, and I would love a good recommendation so that I don't have to go back to work.
Yeah, I know quite a few folks. I'll definitely reach out to them and get you hooked up.
Okay, so I think we're actually about the end of. He sends me this the message. Send me the message.
Oh, hey, Drew, Mix on talking. So,
his mates have kicked in.
Right. Usually he sends me a message that says you got 2 minutes or I'll explode.
Yeah, but Drew's kind of different.
Yeah, just Drew. See, I love Drew though. I mean, exactly. I really do. I love you. I love being part of your Orchid Grove family, and I have to thank you. And I know you know that I mean this. I just love that that you were supporting us as strongly as you were for as long as you did to the very end. I kept thinking to myself, you know, at some point Drew's going to realize that we're just a couple of guys talking to each other through the living rooms, right? He's going to know that.
In the show as well. That was what made them good. There was no bullshit.
So
that's definitely what listeners caught on to.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I appreciated everything that you did for us when we were starting out, and I want you to come up with something new and amazing and a new, you know, a new project. I want to hear about it, and I always want to be a voice in one of your radio shows. That'd
be great, yeah. And it was always a privilege to have you guys on the air. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was. It's you're one of the few people we actually associate with. Well, I associate with that actually does content. I kind of just stay to my own and operate within my bubble. I think we're big enough now at this point that I'm able to do that and kind of focus on ourselves. And I kind of find it a little bit easier on the mental health when you kind of create your own little community and operate within that, especially the way the last year and a half's been.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, but definitely having you around helps, and interacting with you is definitely a breath of fresh air. So thank you for coming on this week, and until next time. Yes. So this was another episode of the Rabbit Hole podcast. Find us on projectlouder.net, your source for pop culture and so much more. Mixed on. See you next week.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye.